How do you do that?
What the hell? What the hell, man?
I'm going to make the key vanish from your pocket. It's going to appear on the keychain, in your hands, between the other two keys.
No.
Check now.
No. What? How? What? No.
To your shoulder.
The bag's been empty the whole time. I have no idea how that happened.
I'm Chris. What's your name?
Callum.
Callum.
Chris and Joe.
Joe, nice to meet you. We just plucked you off the street, right? You just sat here having a beer,
Yeah.
having a nice time.
Yeah.
Observation test, question for you. Try and put this in the light. How many keys can you see? 3 keys. Watch carefully as I take 3 keys.
That's crazy.
Become 2. Do you know where it goes?
Where?
To your pocket.
This one? Surely not. What in it? What the hell? What the hell, man? What? How'd you do that? That's actually insane.
That middle one, logically, will be the hardest one to take off the keychain, right? It's in the middle of the two.
Yeah.
Do this up here.
No way.
Do you know where it goes?
Where?
To your wallet.
Nah. No way. No, no way. No. Oh, mate. No way. Literally, the wallet's in my pocket and this guy had keys in his hand, shook them, and now the key is in my wallet. That was in my pocket, nowhere near it. That is absolutely
I
mental.
told you.
Welcome to the instructions for Hide a Key. This is a really long time in the work. It's really taken a lot of time to get this right, to really reinvent what we all know to be a coin shell and to have it work in an effective way as a key shell. So I'm really excited. There's a lot to talk about, but I just first of all would like to thank you so much for investing in this. I understand it's a surprise for something like this to come from me. I understand it's kind of unexpected, and I'm just glad that you've decided to take the leap and to pick this up. We've tried to keep it as affordable as possible. We've tried to keep it as flexible as possible. And myself and everybody involved here really believe that Hide a Key just has so much untapped, unlimited potential that I hope you start tapping into as soon as you start playing around with Hide a Key. So thank you so much for investing in it. It's truly appreciated. And I think let's not waste another second before we get into how this works, what it is, what you've received, and how to best use it. So thank you so much. What you've received is a box, just like this one. It's nice and small. My goal being that I didn't want you to have a huge box for such a small and efficient little system. Inside the box, if you just pop that open, I'm presuming you've already seen the sticker, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You've also received this lower one, this key in the lowermost section. That's this one right here. Put that over the front of my face. That one right there. That's your extra key that you will load somewhere that you will make appear or not. This is not the one that goes inside of the Hide a Key shell. And then the uppermost key that's facing to the right hand side is indeed the Hide a Key system. So what this is a key shell. Let me show you this as close as I can. A key shell, that's the inside of the shell. The quality of this being so high that you can in fact even flash this on both sides should you wish. So you've got the key shell itself, and then you have the other half of the key shell which looks like this. But on the back side, it's nice and smooth and flat. And when these two things go together, just like this, they nest perfectly so that they sit completely flush, completely flat, and so that it's super thin. So first of all, I wanted to show you Hide a Key. This is of course what you have received. I'm incredibly proud of it. We'll get to exactly what that is in a second, but everything is nicely contained in there. I also thought this was a good opportunity to show you the time that this has taken to get right and to talk you through some of the different levels of samples and prototypes and finishes that we've had done with this. So the initial samples of Hide a Key looked like this. Now, it's going to be hard to believe, probably. They're even a bit precautious. I'm a bit precautious to touch them. They look like this. These kind of dots inside, very kind of grubby looking and not so nice. And they, if I'm being honest, they barely fit inside the shell. So it was all a bit thick. It didn't quite work out how we expected. And you can see here there was just a lot of these samples that just weren't the best quality. But not just that, let me show you this. The thickness, can you see the difference in how thick that is? So it was a very, very thick shell, and this just wasn't anywhere close to good enough for how we wanted it to look. So they got a big cross marked on the bag. That was the first round of samples. The second round of samples were promising. I'll show you some of these here. They look like this, so they're still, I mean, they're thinner. We started adding the engraving detail around the edges to disguise on this side, but the fit you can see is not right, and you can see the finish of the inside of the shell. So it's all kind of mucky looking. We had a real problem with these blowholes, they're called, and that means when they were molding it at the time, the way we were making it then, it just meant that it didn't come out and it wasn't accurate enough. So that was one of them. For example, I'll show you some more of these. Now there's one that fits together nicely, but you can see the quality of the finish just isn't high enough. We got damage on there. That was that one, and then this one here. I mean, the engraving being off. And every time one of these was made, you're talking a wait time, a lead time of a few weeks to a month. So again, and then these were some of the keys that would appear in places. I don't know if you can hear that, but they were made of a different metal. Everything was a bit less high quality. So they're all there. They're all fine. They're okay. But there's a difference between putting something together for yourself, and if that's the case, then you obviously want those standards to be high anyway. But then there is a whole other difference to producing that as something that people pay for. So all of these just weren't quite right. They didn't fit right. They didn't look right. I wasn't happy with them. There was a lot to not like about these samples, but my manufacturer's trying super hard, and of course it was appreciated. But there's all of these ones. This is all different versions of Hide a Key from over the last nearly 2 years of development. So that was the first couple of rounds of samples. Then we hit some progress, which is we got it a lot thinner. You can see how thin that is. That's much closer to the real Hide a Key. But then we still had these blowholes, these finishing problems. You can see the kind of rough patches, the little blowholes there. And then the inside of the shell was just not right. It had these dots, these circles, and they were from taking it out of the mold, which is how we're doing it at the time. And then you can see here on the piece that goes inside, there's a circle. There was a couple on here. And again, it just wasn't right. So this one actually used for quite a long time. I filmed a very early trailer just to send around to friends of mine with this version. And with this, the fit and the thinness were good, but everything else wasn't quite right. So then we stepped forward and we arrived here. This was one of the better samples that we had made. And at one point, it was going to arrive in a box that looked like this. It was substantially thicker, but it was going to arrive in a box like this. And again, this was a lot better, but it just wasn't quite right. And again, I'll show you, I hope this is of interest. This is just to give you an idea of how long this has been in the works. So then, that was from one manufacturer, that was all of this. And then I switched manufacturer. So the initial samples from this new manufacturer, and you can see the quality difference here. And this was a very highly polished finish that we chose actually not to go with because it was a little too shiny and it looked a little too much like a magic prop. And you can probably still see we've removed all of the circles from inside the shell at this point, but we still had that one on the end of the key that appears. And the fit was great and it looks great, but the problem with this was, because it was so highly polished, you weren't able to then have those engraved details around the side. So that was a goner, but that was a little bit better, I mean a lot better, the quality much better, made of a much better material. And then here we have a similar thing. It's very highly polished, but very, very good quality. And the fit's great and all of that. So this was the kind of big step forward, was switching manufacturer. And then we started, as well as finishing, having the actual keys themselves perfected. So we decided to go with the brushed finish, which is what you're holding. So it is polished, but it's not polished so much that it's so reflective, which means that it just kind of blends in more as a real key. You know, hide a key will look very beautiful when you take it out of the box, and there's more to talk about on that in a second, but over time it will just blend in more naturally. So here you go, here's a sample box we have made. It was going to be all black. Decided not to do that, thought the white and the black was more true to what a hide a key really is in real life. So all of this said, this is only a selection of the samples, and understand that these came at once. A couple of them came separately, but a lot of these all came separately. This one I had for some considerable time when I was really thinking about whether or not we even do this and follow through, or if this would be something that I could just use for myself. This was really the last manufacturer's best attempt, but it wasn't quite right, so we ended up changing manufacturer, and then we moved to this gentleman who made 1, 2 there, the box. He then got the box perfect, which looks exactly what you have here. And then obviously the proper hider key. So look at the quality of all of this we have here. That's the key that appears. It has no holes down here, no dots on here. Real nice high quality. And it is shiny, but it's not too shiny. It's not too perfect looking. And that's important, I think, for something to not look too prop-like. And then when we take out, so the upper part of what you've received, the lower part is obviously the key you make appear. The upper part is the shell itself, and just look at the quality of inside of the shell. Look at the thinness of the thing. The fit of the thing is beautiful. We have those engraved, it's probably hard to see in this studio light, and this one's seen a lot of use, but those engraved lines around the edge that hide the idea of the joins on the other side, and that is hider key. I think a really important thing to understand and to think about as we go through these instructions and before we get going, you want to take that, you want to put it on your key, you want to have the extra key nearby as well, so that you're set with hider key. But what you want to remember is, this will get scratched, this will get tarnished, this will need a clean from time to time, but all of that's normal. The more use that this thing gets, the more little dings that this thing gets, the more you really carry it around on your keychain, the more real, the more absolutely real world it's going to look. So that's the end result of hider key, which is right here, which is what you're holding. I just wanted to show you some of the history and the time it's taken to develop this. And in between all of this, since having the very early not so great samples, I've been working with these vanishes on the keychain in midair in the spectator's hands, and we're going to go over all of that. But I hope that this helps you understand just how long this has taken, how much effort this has taken, how much money and dedication and time and commitment and focus this has taken just to get to something that you are now holding in your hand. So I sincerely thank you so much for picking one up, and now let's dive into how to get this set up, how to get it on the keychain, and how you can move forward with this so that you can start doing it. So one aspect that I'd like to address before we move forward into how to use hider key and how to get set up in the vanishes is a really important thing actually, and it's just to talk about the fit and the part of the method that is intentional, but it's important that you understand why hider key is the way that hider key is. So what do I mean? Well, when we started sampling this, now we do have samples that were intended to be locking samples, whether that was with magnets, whether that is not with magnets. And one of the main questions I get when people see me do this and I show it to other magicians is, does it lock? So I really want to address that right now. I've made it very clear in the ad copy, very clear whenever anyone's asked me, very clear in all these interviews that I have done and will be doing as we get closer to the release of Hide a Key. But I really want to talk about why it doesn't lock. So obviously Scotch and soda was one of the inspirations for this. In England we know it more as coin unique, it's usually £1 and a penny, and that magnetizes, it locks together. With a coin though, it's totally possible to hide those seams on the edges of the coin. And the reason being, coins have these natural, perfect little patterns, circular dots, intricate lines around the edges of a coin. And because of that, it's very possible to blend in those joins so that it becomes examinable and you can hand it out. With a key, however, it's very, very difficult. With a key, however, it's, I would say, almost next to impossible to be able to fully disguise those joins and those lines. So as you look at your Hide a Key, turn it to the dirty side, the ugly side, look at that and understand that that's a side that no one will see for more than a flashing second. But also think about how if this did lock together, which it doesn't and it's not meant to, but if it did, even if it did, you would still not be able to hand this to someone. And the reason for that is those lines, even if you play around with beveling the edges of the keys and all these other things, those lines will never be invisible. So the people I perform for, at least, I wouldn't feel comfortable giving them Hide a Key and saying, there you go, it's examinable. Because they would look at it and go, oh, it's a key inside of a key. That's weird, didn't think that was possible. So that's why we don't have it locking. There are a few other reasons too. One, the main one really, is the thickness. Look how thin Hide a Key is. I know you've seen this on the trailer, but it's super thin. And if you add magnets, usually that means it becomes more thick. And then the two main reasons are in terms of the visuals that you can do with Hide a Key. As you watch these instructions, just understand and bear in mind that when you do the vanish, that middle key really will swing back and forth first before it nests on the keychain, as you hold it like this. And it really, really will slowly dissolve away. So 3 keys, 1, 2, 3, watch the middle key. Watch that middle one, it really will swing side to side until it decides to just not be there anymore. Right? And because of that, because you really see that swing from side to side, even in slow motion on camera, and because of that, that's one of the reasons why it doesn't have magnets. If magnets were there, it would swing straight away, line up, and instantly vanish, as opposed to visually dissolve away. I think that's an important detail that most people, including myself, don't initially think about when we think of magnets. Because with coins, it's in the hands, right? It's under the glass, but here we're swinging it, so we can really emphasize the vanish and the visual beauty of that vanish as it looks like it dissolves, as opposed to it just kind of instantly clicking into place. Now, the most important reason why this doesn't have magnets, besides the thickness, besides how visual the vanish is without them, all of those things are completely true, but the beauty of it really, I wanted this to be real world, I wanted it to be get ready, real life, in-person performance. And the get ready for Hide a Key is as simple as grabbing the sides of the keys before you then do the vanish. And that's because the fit is perfect and there aren't the magnets there, which means that you just grab the sides of that key and it just opens right up. Let me show you what this looks like. So the get ready is as simple as taking hold of the sides of Hide a Key and lifting off. So now we have 3 keys. The vanish then happens right here. And the get ready again is just holding this round part of the key and lifting off. That's all that we have to do. So just to be super clear, the get ready really is as simple as lifting off, and now you've separated those, in this case, 3 keys, but you've separated the Hide a Key system, the 2 halves, just by holding on the edges here, right here, like this, and just by lifting. That inside piece, this piece that will vanish, that looks like the duplicate key, just falls down, and that's what makes the get ready for this so practical, and that is one of the primary reasons why this isn't locking. If there are magnets involved, not only will it be thicker, not only will the visual vanish not look as good, not only will you not be able to do the appearance that we do in the kickback routine that we'll teach later, not only will all of those things happen, but most importantly, for the get ready, if it were locking with magnets, you'd need another magnet. If it was locking in terms of fit, you'd need a bang ring. This is real world, comes out your pocket, you go like that and you're ready to perform with Hide a Key. So now I've talked about the fit, the different finishes, all the different samples. the reasoning behind why it doesn't lock and how it looks the way it looks. I want to waste no more time. I want to really dive in with you to look at how you can best use this, to go over some of the routines that I'm going to be teaching you, and to teach you all of this stuff I've got. There's so much to cover, so let's get busy. So very quickly, I just think we should go over how you get hide key set, how you get ready for performance, and taking out of the box how you kind of get ready, essentially. I'm a massive advocate for these types of twist and pull, quick release keychains. Now, I was first introduced to this from Greg Wilson's free key, which is actually what this key is from. And yeah, I think it was a really great trick, free key, and that was part of the reason why I'm so happy to have Greg as part of this project for you all. This key ring is from Free Key, but they are on Amazon, they are on eBay as twist and pull, quick release keychains. I really, really enjoy using this, and it really has become the thing. I have hide key on and my real home key on, which looks like this, not this. Just in the trailer, I was a little dubious to put my real home key on it. I also have a fob, which I sometimes carry around, but I'm just trying to show you here the different ways you can have everything set and everything ready. So let's start, for example, with the twist and pull keychain, but this can be any hoop that you put the keys on like this. It can be anything with a kind of a carabiner or anything with something like this. This is a quick release kind of pull thing. I sometimes will put my keys on this, including hide key. And I switch and change. More lately, for the past 4 or 5 months, I've been using this one, hence why it's a little scuffed and scratched, but it really is low profile, goes in my jeans pocket, my coat pocket, no problem. These are available all over the place, and the idea for hide key, the idea behind why I didn't provide this really, one, it would have added a lot more weight to the package, making it a little more expensive and all of those things, but two, I just want this to go on your keychain. I want you to be able to perform this for your friends, for your family, and professionally in such a way that they don't notice that, oh, you've got all of a sudden a new keychain, must be magic or trick keys. So if you're using a hoop, if you're using a quick release, I highly recommend you take a key that is just a regular key, something that you would like to use or do already use for something else, then take hide key, put that on your keychain, and this is how I use it most often. Now I can go from 3 keys, the get ready being instant, 3 keys here, and that can just become from this side, in this action, can just become 2 keys. That's how I like to use it the most. And as a full get ready, if I'm going to go out and perform or I'm carrying this around on a daily basis, I'm going to put on that extra key, the duplicate key on the front here. And because it's a quick release chain, then when I want to load that somewhere or perform kickback that we'll talk about later, I can just take that off and hand it to someone to go in their pocket, or I can load it under someone's watch or whatever it is that we do there. So let's talk quickly, very quickly, because I know you want to get to the routines. Let's talk about just sticking this on another key fob. So anything that has a bit more length, and as I said, this is one that I do really use, I tend to quite like, so often I'll put this one on here, with this one and this one. This is just to show you how it looks with 4 silver keys that are, you know, of all different levels of used. I like this length of the keychain because it means that really I can swing that back and forth, and I think that looks interesting, and then the vanishes are happening in mid-air. But anything with this kind of quick release action, whether it's this or one of these, is of benefit, and I would recommend that you get one. Keys like this are fine, fobs are also fine on there. I think the best way to go though is some kind of brass key, some kind of normal key, a brass key, your house key, that to go on there in a different finish, not a circular one. Ideally just have a bit of contrast in there in terms of looks and texture and colour. And then really you are ready to go. So get your favourite keychain, get your normal keychain, follow along. Everything will work exactly as described here, whether you're using this kind of keychain, a carabiner, a quick release twist and pull chain, or if you're just using a regular hoop. It will all work fine, it will all work perfectly. The keys do all of the work for you regardless. Let's get right into using hide key, please. I'm excited. So before we get into the vanishes that are possible with hide key, we should also talk about, because it's applicable for all of the routines, the get ready. Now I know I've shown it you very quickly and kind of briefly, and I just want to do it one more time to make sure that you fully understand how you get ready to use hide key, whether you'll be using that for the appearance in routines like kickback or your own creations, or if that'll be for any of the vanishes that you do. And understand that this is applicable for any of the performances we're going to go over later. You'll see me, or if you don't see me, it will just be before as I pull them out of my pocket, that I'm doing the very same get ready. So it's the same every single time, okay? So let's take a look at this. So hide a key comes out, goes flat on my hand, and all I'm doing to get ready is grabbing the sides of the hide a key gimmick and then letting everything come out. So there's now 4 here. I'm sure it's very simple, very easy for you to follow, but literally, let me move the bonus key and the other normal key out of the way. I'm just grabbing the sides of the circular part of hide a key, the shell, and in this instance, you know, when it's horizontal parallel to the floor, the shell just falls away, and the insert, the part that's smooth and waffled, that just becomes truly visible. So it's simple and very easy, very fast. Usually I bring them out and I lay them on my hand like this, so they're a stack of keys so that no one is able to perceive how many are there or how many are not there. And all I do, we go over here, you can see now there are 3 keys, right? But that's because I haven't done the get ready yet and I've got the waffle here. I just grab hold of the sides of the key and you'll see that just fall out, and now there are 4 keys. So if this is really in your pocket, it's really in there, I have no control over how that is in my pocket. The way to bring it out is to grab the keychain so that everything swings like this, everything is together, lay it on your hands, and then just grip just the hide a key gimmick, and now you can spread those out like there were a pack of cards if you like, and now there are 4 keys there. Or however many keys you have, there'll be an extra one, because this one, the one that vanishes, is not of course really there once everything nests. That's how quick and easy it is to nest hide a key. Also, just take some time now to put yours on the table, and you'll see just how great with this kind of keychain, especially with a bit of weight pulling the keys this way from the hoop, you get this great angle where it emphasizes the thinness of the hide a key shell but displays everything nicely. So this is how I like to place it down on the table, or if it's in someone's hands. And very quickly, so that we can go into the vanishes, it's very similar to the get ready, but I do want to go over the appearance that happens. Now I don't have anyone here in the studio with me, so I'll just be showing you this as if this were someone's hands. But let me show you, for example, 3 keys are here. How many keys? 3. I ask them to extend their hand out, and all I'm doing is placing this on their hand as 1, 2, 3 keys. I might even show them really close up because of how thin hide a key is. How many keys do you see? We'll talk about the displays in a little while, but they go on their hand just like this. In this case, there we go, exactly 3 keys. And now, as I ask them to put their other hand on top, so I reach over, I go like this, I'm going to say, you're going to put your other hand on top, and I block that, and as I do, I just reach down and grab hide a key as I reach over, giving me, with their eyes being up here, cover from their eyes, and I unnest that shell as I grab their arm and then come back over to have them place both their hands like this over hide a key. And as you can now see, there are, I'll pick them up exactly as they are, 1, 2, 3, 4 keys there now because we've done the appearance. So as we begin to get into how I like to handle hide a key, it's important that I think you follow along and that you know that I prefer to be operating with hide a key on the keychain here, so being the main primary key, and then with the extra key, which in this case is the brass key from Free Key. It's usually my house key. Just on the keychain as that. The extra key that's going to appear for some of these routines will be already on the keychain, and I'll remove it just pre-performance before I load it under their watch or place it in their pocket, on their shoulder or in their bag, and we'll cover all of that in a little while. But let's just play along right now and practice with hide a key on the keychain with another key on there, and then you really are set and ready to go. So yours should look just like this. 2 keys on whatever keychain you have will work absolutely perfectly. So my favorite vanish, if you saw me on the trailer, if you've seen me in the real world, and I've been doing this for a lot of people, I've been trying to keep it very secret, but I've been very careful with who I show it to that is a magician, and I've done it on a lot of real people. And my favorite vanish is to bring this out of my pocket. So I have no idea what condition that's in because I really do carry this around. And I just hold the keychain up so that everything is there. I grab hold of the sides of the shell part of hide a key. So again, I'll do this up here. I'm taking it, I'm grabbing hold as I lay it out on my hands to display 3 keys. And I ask, how many keys do you see? They say 3. I bring this up So I'm transferring from flat on my hands. I'm grabbing with my first finger and thumb on the spread of keys and pivoting up. This is so that I don't show the back of the shell. Now I'm positive you can flash the back of that because it looks so good, especially from a relative distance. But I want to go from here to flat on my hands, spread them out for the get ready so you see 3. And now I'm going to come up here, show you 3 keys just like this. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to grip the chain, the hoop, whatever it is you're using. I'm going to grip that like this, and it's going to go from 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say, watch the middle key, and I'll separate it because the angles on this are good. I'll cover this, separate it, show you that middle one, like this. The middle one is the one to watch in 1, 2, and then I'll spin this way, and they will fall and swing. And it will just choose at some point to not be there anymore. So let me really go over in detail what that is and why it's that way and how it looks. So I'm putting them on my hand flat. I'm getting ready. I'm spreading them out as 3 keys on my hand just like this. I'm pivoting over and gripping those. It feels to me, I'm not a coin magician, but it feels like I'm ready to do coins across. So I'm here displaying the 3 keys, and then I'm transferring to this hand, and then I'm letting them fall this way. Let me show you this from the back. So hide a key comes out, it goes on my hand, I separate and do the get ready to now have 3 keys. I pivot and turn like this, showing 1, 2, I say watch that middle key, and I grab hold of this, spin this way, and it will just swing back and forth until it chooses not to be there anymore. They've established themselves without much prompting from me that it's 3 keys. I bring this up here, I show them, and I separate like this. I pull this one away and I separate that so that they can really see that that middle key is not attached. This really enhances the illusion. The middle key is the one to watch, and then I change, so I might stop and talk like this, keep that moving slightly. Move this over to my right hand, take hold of the hoop, the keychain, whatever it is you're using, long, small, big, quick release or not, doesn't matter. You'll take hold of this, let it fall this way, and I kind of twist my wrist slightly, and I tell them, you'll see that middle one swing from side to side until it just chooses not to be there anymore. And it will swing, and then I will turn my wrist slightly on my right hand, just to emphasize that vanish until it chooses not to be there. When I get to this position, I use my first finger, and facing out towards them, I push from the back, and that will make hide a key nest perfectly. This is because of the symmetry of hide a key and the weight distribution being even, and the holes all perfectly lining up with hide a key on the keychain. Whichever one you use, it means it will fall from this, and as long as you are parallel to the floor and holding this from above, so if you're just holding a hoop, you just take hold of it like this. If you're holding something longer or you have a quick release, you're going to hold it like this. It's because of all those things, plus gravity, that it naturally gets to a situation. Let me show you from the side here. So we go from the get ready. I show them 3 keys. I bring it up. I let it turn that way. It swings back and forth with a little help from me. And I see their face change at this point because 3 become 2. Now, because of gravity, you can see this, it will slightly be hanging separately, but you cannot perceive that from the front. It's impossible to see from the front. And then I just push this forward with my finger, and it makes everything nest flawlessly. So one more time, the get ready, which we've already covered, so that we have 3 keys. I turn it to face them, I switch to this hand, I let it swing, they fall down. They really do see that waffle pattern key be there and then just choose to not be there. And you can see there, it's hanging, you can see 3, which is fine because it hasn't vanished yet. Even if someone catches a glimpse of that, which they won't, you just push forward with your finger, and that's what nests hide a key perfectly. That's my favorite vanish. I'll do it one more time very quickly for you. It's 3 keys, watch the middle key. It will swing back and forth until it chooses to not be there anymore. And then I have a display that I go into that feels like that you see all the sides of the key, and then it appears somewhere. Here's an important thing as well about this vanish, or any vanish, before we get further down the rabbit hole of all the stuff you can do with hide a key. All the focus after this key vanishes is on where this key appears. These two things on your keychain are not of interest. All your focus when you perform this should be on, if you're using 3 keys becoming 2, which is how I recommend you use it, which means you can really carry this around every day with your house key, right? If you're doing it that way, all the focus is on the key that vanishes and where it reappears, whether that be in their pocket, in their bag, under their watch, on their shoulder, under the drink, under the doormat, whatever. So as soon as the vanish is done and I'm here, I do my display, which we'll go over in a little while, and then I just place the keys in my hand and I look them straight in the eyes and I say, do you know where it goes? It goes to, and then finish the sentence however it is loaded and ready to go. And if you follow that simple formula, if you do nothing else with hide a key but just that, you'll be getting the reactions that you see me getting in the trailer, in the performances that we're about to look at. So that's my favourite vanish with hide a key. Let's keep moving forward. I think it'd be nice and interesting and beneficial for everybody if right now we take a look at some of those vanishes where 4 keys become 3, or 3 keys become 2, or 2 keys become 1, and I'll narrate over the top of those so that you can really understand what's going on, how those vanishes are happening, and the subtle differences between all of those. So let's take a look at those now, and then you'll see all of the different vanishes that are possible. So now we've looked at all those vanishes, it's important to talk about placing this in the spectator's hands. Of course, because of the nature of hide a key, it's essentially self-working, but there is some elements to and some practice you'll need to have for getting this to look as best as it can in the spectator's hands. And it's really about knowing your angles and managing your spectators. But as I've said before, all the focus is on where that new key, the middle one, the waffle key as I like to call it, where that one appears. So you really don't have anything to worry about. But let's talk about how to place this in the spectator's hands. So let's imagine you've done one of the vanishes. Say it's my favourite one where 3 become 2, okay? You want to do the same vanish as normal, and as it's swinging, you can actually, with very little movement, just doing this, you can look, if it's from still, and I do this, it looks like my arm is barely moving, but I can keep that rattling around. The reason for that is so that they can't perceive that those keys have changed to 2. And with the intention being from me as the performer, or you as the performer, being that that won't nest fully yet, so they will keep seeing 3 keys becoming 2. Of course, the motion of something swinging is really hard for the human eye to perfectly detect how many of a thing is where, and because of that, it continues to look like more keys than are actually there, even after the nesting has taken place. But the reason for this, to place it in the spectator's hands, is so that after the vanish has happened, whilst it's swinging, I can reach forward and grab their hand, or I can ask that they grab hold of it and keep all of that moving around so that they can't perceive the difference. Of course, you can also tell them to do this before. You say, I'll watch that middle key in a second. You're going to grab hold of everything, so be ready. Okay, take hold of the keys, please. And they do. And I leave the keychain always sticking out of their hand for a few reasons. One, it makes it very, very easy in a moment to grab hold of that and to remove that and for the vanish to have happened. But 2, if the keychain is sticking out of their hand, it gives me this view into their hand, which means that I'm able to see, in this instance, how hide a key had not fully nested, and therefore by twisting the keychain, I can make sure that that is fully nested before I bring that out to display it side on and very close to their face. So the vanish that we've already gone over, whichever one you choose to do, as it's swinging, you want to encourage them to grab hold of the keys but leave the keychain out. And you can now turn that towards you, and this is the kind of, if I move the keychain out of the way, this is the kind of view that you'll get for hide a key, right? So I can see in there that that has not fully nested, but I can negotiate that to be fully nested, now it has, just by twisting that in their hand. And I can do this from my point of view so they can't see it, so that when that does come out, it has fully nested and has, of course, fully vanished. So placing it in the spectator's hands is about letting them know what's going to happen, keeping this moving in midair and then asking them to take hold of it, turn their hand on the side. I like to then do this to show there's nothing in my hands. I've not stolen that key away yet, even though that'd be very difficult. And then from there, I can use the view, the angle that I have into their hand to see how that's nested. If it hasn't, I can twist it. I can say loosen up slightly, very slowly. I can bring this out, and I usually go straight into that side-on display because it's so thin and it looks so fair. And then into one of my displays, which we'll talk about in a moment. The other way to have this placed in the spectator's hands is for the appearance that I've already covered, and you'll see me doing the performances. I'm going to narrate over those performances for you. But the other way is to have it go from 3, to swing it back and forth, and instead of using your fingers to have that fully nest, you're going to just lay it down on the spectator's hands whilst giving it a little shake, and that's going to nest everything together. I'm no coin magician, but I have spent a long time working on this, and I feel fully confident with how Heideke operates. So I know that you watching this, because you bought this, you must have used a shell before, and if you haven't, you feel confident about the idea of using a shell. And because of that, I know that your Heideke will be in better hands with you than it is with me. No one knows that a key shell is possible. No one perceives that you could even make that, let alone that it would exist in the real world. So feel confident putting this in your spectator's hands and making the magic happen in their hands just before you take that back to display that those keys or that key has gone. So be confident placing Heideke in their hands so that when you take it back to display that that key has vanished, you can shift the focus to where it appears. And as we all know, putting this in their hands really heightens the magic. It really heightens the impact of this. And if you place the keys in their hand and then have it appear on their person, it's some of the strongest magic you can do with Heideke. So to quickly recap, keep it swinging, have them grab hold, leave the keychain out, show your hands empty, use that glimpse in to see, twist if you need to really help that nest. It won't need it, but if it does, fine. And then bring it out and go into your favorite displays. Mine tends to be the side-on display like this because it looks so fair before I drop that away in a pocket. So that is how to place Heideke in your spectator's hands. And now, let's keep moving forward. Let's talk about the displays that you do after the key has vanished. So whether you've put that in their hands and taken it back, whether it's happened in midair, whether you've laid that back down on a spectator's hand, whether it's on the table, however you do that, however you choose to explore Heideke, I have some particular displays that I like using a lot. So let's imagine that I've done the vanish up here, which is a benefit of this, by the way, it's between our faces. So you're in frame, the best part of this happens between you and them. The magic happens in that space between you and your audience. I show them to watch the middle key, I let it swing, and when I can see that that's ready to go, I'm going to push forward with my finger, which has the benefit of fully nesting Heideke, but of course, it telegraphs this idea that I don't want to touch anything. Makes it seem very, very fair, which it is. I show it like this. I show it sideways on, and I bring it right the way towards them. Let me do this so it can focus on what's being seen by the spectator. So I go from here, bring it right up here, and they get this side-on display that's usually with my finger underneath, so they can see how thin that is, and they can see that for real, 3 keys has become 2. This is another reason for the thinness of Hide a Key. It's durable, but it's thin, and that's because people know how thick keys are. If Hide a Key were too thick, you do this display and their brains would go, oh, there's still a key there, or it's inside the other key. So the display that I like, first of all, the crucial element, it's the most simple. You're going to let that swing back and forth. You're going to push it forward with your finger, and you're going to show them Hide a Key just like this for the thinness. The vanish happens up here. It nests. I show them it from the side. It's very thin. It's not there anymore. Then I spread, so it's like this. I grab this part of Hide a Key, the long part, the top part, holding the shell together with the nested element, and I twist, and I bring it up. So I do this, and I do this move, and I'm showing them the thinness one more time before I place it in my cupped hand to cover anything that might unnest, and I put that away before I tell them where it appears. From here, it looks like I'm taking this and showing you both sides, and this is the display I like the most. My hands are empty, the keys are right between me and them. I can twist a little bit, they can see how thin they are. It really shows that that key is no longer there. I think a great piece of advice to get you going with Hide a Key is to start with what's my favourite vanish. It's probably the one I use the most. Yes, you can place it in their hands. Yes, you can do all these clever displays, and yes, you can use different amounts of keys, but I think there's a pureness to saying how many keys, and the get ready being so fast, and they say 3, and then I show them 3, it vanishes, but it happens between me and them. If they're not paying attention or something, I just keep this swinging a little more, and I see their eyes focus in on that, and then they react, and then doing this, and then spreading and doing this to show them that very same top side they've already seen before having it appear. I think because that happens between you and them, and because your hands are so clean and empty and fair and open, that's my favourite display, that's my favourite vanish. I recommend you build confidence using my favourite vanish. I have no doubt you'll come up with your own handlings for Hide a Key, and I can't wait to hear them. But so as you know, I'm not publicly a magician, as it were. You know, I perform as a memory performer, I perform as a mind reader, and although I love magic, especially card magic, right? When I started working with Hide a Key, when the process began almost 2 years ago of the manufacture and the making and the prototyping and the sampling and the testing and the creating the handlings that I'm showing you here, when all that began, I had no experience loading stuff under anyone's watch. I had no experience putting stuff in people's pockets. I had zero experience getting stuff inside of people's bags. And I'm telling you all of that because I don't want you to be scared about it. So I'm just going to go over how I handle all of this stuff now, and then we'll cover some really clever, simple, easy ways to load that in such a way that, you know, people won't even remember it happened. And I think this is the important aspect of this is, you know, when you are loading the extra key with Hide a Key on someone's person, you're so far ahead that they would never begin to suspect that that had happened, or it could happen, or that that's what you're doing, you know. So they don't know what's happening. You should have utter confidence, and I think confidence is the secret, the trick to this. It's just confidence. And like I've found out, you just have to be confident in yourself and do it, because the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work perfectly. It's not perfectly smooth, but you learn every time you do something. So I put myself out of my own comfort zone. I'm very comfortable on stage. I'm very comfortable as a mind reader. I'm very comfortable doing memory stuff. I'm fairly comfortable with cards. But when it came to doing stuff that feels like coin magic, vanishing things with a shell and having stuff appear and loading that on people, it felt alien to me as well. but the reactions it gets blew my mind. So I'm encouraging you to go out there and really give it a test as well. So it can be quite scary to load something under someone's watch. You've just heard me ramble about how impressive the reactions are and how I was surprised about that. I just really want to talk about how I do it. Now you'll best kind of learn how I do it from watching the performance, and I'll make sure we include the part where I load the key under the gentleman's watch. But the things I'm looking for if I decide to go for the watch performance is someone with a big watch, shorter sleeves that aren't in the way, obscuring the watch. And it's really under the action of clipping it here like this. Hold your hand out, please. And imagining this is someone else's hand. I grab hold of it here, pressing the key up against them, but still in that finger clip so it has that angle, and then pulling that back so it goes underneath their watch. Now in this case, it's now in my sleeve, but it has that same kind of feel. And what's surprising about this when you've never done it before is that when you do it, you realize that people don't feel that it's happening and feels like they should. So I think, like I've already said, the key to this is the confidence of doing this properly, the confidence that you can do it, and the certainty that they're not going to notice. Obviously, you can have different reasoning for why you have them hold their hands out. It can be that you do something first with two cards and a card transposes or changes places. It could be that you hold your hands out, please, and you put the key under the watch and you bring your keys out and you say, actually, we'll do this with this hand, the one that you've loaded the key under the watch, and you say how many keys and you place them on their hand and then you go from there. You just need to justify the action of moving them, but also don't be afraid to move them and to be in control of where they stand and how they stand, and you can do that under the guise of helping other people see, or it's really about confidence. And I'm speaking as a person who has spent a long time being a mind reader and a memory guy, to then go out there and start loading things under people's watches. I know it's scary, and I wish I had a great technique to teach you with it, other than clipping the stem of the key here, asking for their hands to be extended, grabbing that and pulling back towards their watch, and that will place that right directly underneath their watch. The other great thing is that the stem of the key will stick out, so that when they go to remove it and they turn it over, sometimes what you can have with a coin is, if it's really under there, if you're very good at loading it, not everyone sees it straight away, but with hide a key, you're loading it, they turn it over, you see this part sticking out, and people react straight away because they can see it's right there. I think the more you do this, the more you'll feel confident about loading that under someone's watch, and the more time you'll let pass from loading it right through to when you reveal that. And that's the kind of magic zone and area where you can make things really seem impossible, where they won't even remember that you touched them. Again, I'll narrate over the performance, but the shoulder is very similar. It's a case of just having this in hand, asking them. I tend to clip it with my little finger, so it's almost like you could do like a Ramsey subtlety, but so it's here. And I just grab their shoulders and I say, please stand just like this. Can you see okay? Can you see okay? That's good. And I leave that on their shoulder and I say, don't move. You're going to watch this very carefully. Don't move. It's going to be, and I'm just drawing their attention in, telling them what to do, which is not to do anything, not to move, because now that coin's on their shoulder. At no point do I look there. At no point do I put any emphasis there. It feels the same as if you've ever done card under box. The focus is all on what's happening down here, and then you create real distance so that when it vanishes and appears on their shoulder, it feels like you never went near them. And I'm telling you something, they don't remember that you touched them. So we'll narrate over this in a moment, but this is the Cliff Notes version of how I get that on their shoulder. But it's a case of having it in my hand, whether that's palmed, clipped here like a finger palm, or whether that is just, could even be clipped like this. I'm just putting my hand on the shoulder, getting a steady base of foundation, making sure it's really on there, holding the other guy's shoulder as well, and then just moving away and letting that be there. So we'll come back around to the shoulder, but now, let's keep moving. So an interesting thing to explore with hide a key is something called put pocketing. And I first came across it through the work of Apollo Robbins and Garrett Thomas, and friends of mine who, years ago I had a very close friend who was very close friends with Garrett Thomas, and I began to hear about put pocketing from him. And essentially it's this idea that you put stuff in people's pockets without them knowing, but this can also be great and beneficial for for hide a key, where you want to make something appear impossibly. Now, if you see someone who has a top pocket like this, a great put pocket would be, as you place your hand on their shoulder or you adjust them, you just let this fall down into their pocket. And as long as that's covered under a different motion, they're not going to feel that. I'll tell you something that in a few moments we will go and look at the live performances we got. And before any of that starts rolling, I will tell you absolutely how we got that key on their person in that place. And not in every instance, but there are a couple of those performances where simply I just put it in their pocket just before we began the performance because the opportunity arose. If it doesn't, we've got you covered, don't worry. But just bear in mind and understand that especially in a casual situation, it's very easy to place this on their chair as they adjust their chair or under their drink or in their pocket or any of those interesting places, so that you can have full peace of mind and confidence that when it vanishes, you'll get that strong reaction. There are two systems for loading this in truly impossible places that I want to talk about, especially today. One is, we tried all of these out in the performances, but over the past few months, one I've been using a lot, and it's had great success. And the other one, before that, I'd used a lot as well, and it's also had great success. Both of these methods for loading in people's closed handbags, in their wallets, in their pockets, in their coat pockets, in their bags, it's strong stuff, and they don't remember that you went near them. They really don't. The first one is that I would do hide a key, and this is often what I do. I'll do hide a key, especially if I'm not expecting to do it in that moment. Because one of the benefits of hide a key is you can choose in the moment if you do kickback, if you want to load it on someone secretly, put pocket, use the systems we're about to talk about, if you want to have it vanish from 4 to... It's so flexible, right? So you've got a lot you can go over. But in the moment, if I decide that I want to have it appear somewhere impossible, just make sure that hide a key isn't the first thing you do for them. So often what I do is say, do you have some money? Do you have some money? Take it out. And they'll remove their wallet. And I take it from them with the extra key here. So you have a bill or something, and I openly look for it. And let's imagine that this piece of paper, this is a note. Let's imagine that's a bill. And with the key here, I just reach in, drop that into their wallet and remove a note. I close up their wallet, hand it back to them and say, please put that away in your pocket again. In fact, let's try something with this. Now, as of late, as of filming this, I'm currently beta testing something for Noel Coulter and Mark Kirstein. It's called ISO. It's an amazing app that allows you to do incredible stuff that involves spectators' phones and taking pictures of banknotes. And for that reason, more recently, that's how I get into this. I do something like ISO first, or at least set that up, and then I have the photograph taken and things, and then do some other stuff and come back to it at the very end. So it kind of justifies removing the note or the bill from their wallet, but also there's a few things I do with bills, I don't want to talk about those right now, but it's any trick that you can do with the bill. So with a gentleman, you ask them for the wallet, do you have some money? And they take out their wallet. And then when you get it, you just give this sign for give me, and I just let it fall in there. The key falls right in as I remove something out. Now, if you don't have a bill trick or you don't want to go and buy the ISO app, you can just say, hey, I need an investment from you. Just an investment, you'll get this back. Do you have some money? And I take their wallet, I drop the key and I take out the bill, I close that and I give that to them. All the focus is on the bill here. Please put that back in your pocket. This is the investment of time. You will get this back, but I want to know that you're not going to go anywhere and not have your full undivided attention. Until this is all over, I'll keep this right here. This is a great way to get into hide a key. Now the bill is in your pocket and the key is in their pocket inside of their wallet, and they won't remember, I promise you they won't remember that you went near them or touched them. Even as crazy as that sounds. Even more so if you keep that bill visible and do something with it at the end. You can change that, you can use the app, you can have it vanish and appear somewhere impossible, you can have predicted the serial number of that, you can do whatever you like. But it's a very strong way to go that pre-beta testing for the ISO app, I was just asking for an investment from the spectator, of a financial investment to reflect the time and the effect, the experience I'm about to share with them. And it's an interesting way to get into something, and it got strong reactions. And I did this with girls' handbags. I would say, do you have some money? And they'd take out a little card holder, and I would take some money from them, and I would hold out the key underneath the thing I'd taken from them, and then just drop it back into their handbag. So you can zip that back up. We just need this. This is an investment of time, and this would be the bill that I'm holding. All of these little ways are those types of moments that feel like they should be remembered, but they're just not remembered. And I can only tell you from real experience of doing this a lot, you just have to try this type of thing to understand and realize that it flies so far under the radar, and that because you're so far ahead and because they don't know what's going to happen, that even by just asking for some investment from them, or to do a trick with a bill beforehand or after, to have them take that out and to not say, give me your wallet, instead just to do this and take it, and with full confidence to let that drop in as you remove something else, that is now in their wallet, back in their pocket. And in a second, they're going to see that here. So they have no reason to think that it's already in their wallet, because they're about to see it vanish. So it's such a disconnect, and it's so strong that even in the most high-pressured filmed or corporate environments, I've done this and it slays people. And in the most informal, unsuspecting situations, it still slays people. So all of that being said, that was how I was using HideaKey for a long time, and I was having a lot of fun with getting it inside of people's handbags, closed up pockets, wallets inside zipped up pockets. And I think the reason it works so well is about doing more than just HideaKey. So you have that time separation, right? You have that time separation, that time misdirection. Now don't get me wrong, when we filmed, the performances will narrate in a little while. A lot of those we just did HideaKey and left. And it's still got those kind of reactions. But I think the trick is getting so far ahead, planting the key openly but secretly under some other reason that you get a bill for, or something from their wallet for, a bank card it could be. And then you do HideaKey a little bit later. The same rules apply for under their watch, dropping it in their pocket, pocketing it. I'd say the only exception is if it goes to their shoulder, then of course you want to act fast because you don't want it to fall off their shoulder. So I was talking with Noel Qualter, who has known about HideaKey for close to a couple of years now. He's spoken to me about it loads. He's had lots of input in this project. You've seen him, or you're about to see him, in this brainstorm session of the project. And he gave me what I think is truly incredible in terms of a gift. And I'm very excited to share it with you. And it's a way to load the key completely openly, but completely secretly, wherever you want it to be, even though they're just placing it in their wallet as an investment of time or as part of another trick. That's completely psychologically invisible, but Noel's handling for this, oh, it's so good. I can't believe I didn't think of it. It's an open load, and what you're going to need is some kind of envelope. I like to use these Office Depot #1 sized coin envelopes, but it can be any. And then an index card and some kind of force piece of information. So for today, I've just written HideaKey on here so that you know what it is. But that is something you can force. That could be with ISO, that could be with digital force bag, that could be a psychological force of a circle and a triangle, it could be just a colour, it could be a number, it could be whatever you want, it could be a mathematical number 9 force, anything. And a way that I've explored this, and I should say this openly, it's very obvious, but it's very strong. Just write the name of a card on here. That index card, it was a 3x5, right? So I'm folding that in half. And then what I've actually done is trim that, because a 3x5 folded in half won't go inside of this coin envelope, but it will if you trim it. And then what I've done, and this is all from Noel, is trim the bottom off of the envelope, creating essentially a tube. Now this is not perceivable when you're handling this, but it works a treat. So this goes inside of here, like this. They kind of bow that open, and it feeds into the envelope. So I should say here, Noel's initial suggestion was to cut a slit in the bottom of the envelope, and it's a great idea. And it was so that you could have a business card flat inside of here, and a small slit with the key, and the slit being big enough to let the key fall out of the envelope, but not so big that the business card wouldn't fall out. I've done it like that for a while now. It's perfect. I just had to, because how my brain works, I had to have a little touch on that. So the index card folded in half, I've found, gives the envelope a little more structure and allows for the load to be even more kind of seamless. So what I do is kind of stick that closed a little bit, but not fully. You can use blue tack, you can use tape. You don't have to stick it closed at all, but I like it to be closed a little. So now we have a little pocket, right? But the index card is so nice and smooth that when you place the key in there, like this, it's in there, and I can push it all the way in. I can now hold out that key, show a prediction very fairly, but hold out the key the whole time. And the way to keep this so that the key doesn't fall out by accident is to place it this way round. So now what we have is almost like it feels like a card to wallet, like a slide, right, to load this into someone's pocket. So let's say you write the name of a card on the business card. And it's a card that you've got a mark on, or it's a short card, or it's just in a normal deck, it's just a card that you know, right? You've written the 6 of clubs is my favorite. And you now approach the group and you say, I have a prediction here. I just want to kind of warm up a little bit and I want to very fairly show my hands. And I'm going to go to I'm going to say, would you open your bag? Would you get your wallet? We'll place my prediction in your wallet. Would you go to your top pocket? Whatever. Top pocket, wallet, or handbag are perfect, or purse, right? And you want to place it in. I'm going to show you this over my hand. You want to place it in, and then when it's over the target area, so the wallet, for example, let's do it with the wallet here. So it's over the wallet. You're going to say, I'm going to place this in here like this, and you're going to squeeze the envelope, and the key is going to fall straight in there. And now I can go, actually, and I can bring this out and close your wallet. You can put that back in your pocket. Actually, would you just hold on to this? Just hold it just like this. And now they're just holding it with the torn off, the trimmed off edge, the open edge towards me. Hold on to this, great. And now I take out the cards and say, would you shuffle them, please? They shuffle them. I take them back, I look through, I bring the card to wherever I need it to be to force it. I can shuffle some more, have you take a card, right? And then I can say, this is just a warm-up. I was trying to anticipate the card you might choose. Please open the envelope, and they do. Remove the index card. Look at my prediction. It says hide a key, and what do you have in your hand? You have hide a key in your hand. Or you know, the 6 of clubs, and you have the 6 of clubs. And it feels like that trick is over. And then you can do some other stuff, wait a little while, because now that key is in that person's wallet, but they won't even remember that you went near it. Just like with openly putting it there, they won't, because what happens is instead of removing a bill as an investment of their time or for another trick that you're going to do, which is a really great way to go, with this idea from Noel, we're momentarily, it's like letting 2 cards momentarily kiss to drop something on top of the deck or to steal something away. It's this tiny moment where you say, let me place this prediction in your wallet. Great. I don't want to touch your wallet. I'm just going to tuck it right away in here. You squeeze, you go, actually, and you look at someone. Would you hold on to this for me? You can put your wallet away. And I almost dismiss. You can zip your bag up. You can put your wallet away. You can put that away. Or you go to their top pocket and you just squeeze, and it just falls straight into their pocket, their purse, their wallet. You tell them to put the wallet away, to zip the bag up, to whatever, and you're done. And all you need to do now is just make sure you do a few more things before you bring out the keys, show them very fairly, have it visually vanish, and then I say, you know where it appears? In your wallet. And they don't remember that you went near them. It's amazing. Please try it. So thank you, Noel, for this amazing idea. Thank you for all your contributions to Hide a Key. I think this is an amazing idea. I often have this with me in my wallet ready to go now, which is where the extra key tends to live unless I want to perform kickback, which is also an interesting idea that you should be aware of. You should think about which routines you want to perform initially and then carry the extra key either on that quick release keychain or somewhere else where you can load it from easily, right? I really think just finger palming it and placing it in someone's wallet, and I don't just think, I know from experience, that's a great solution. And with confidence and done right as part of a little mini set of 2 or 3 things, it just flies under the radar. It is psychologically invisible, but I know from even more experience with Noel's idea that it's just It elevates everything to a different place. So you are now armed with the ability to load the extra key in someone's handbag, under their watch, on their shoulder, in their wallet, in their pocket, in their purse, wherever, in such a way that they will never feel, observe, or remember that that ever happened. Just process how strong that is. Anyway, I'm really going on here, but man, it's so strong. So now let's take a look at the live performances that are part of the Hide a Key project. You'll see each of them initially play through without any narration or talking, and then you'll see them play again, so you're not going crazy. They'll play again, but you'll hear me narrating over the top of it, in which I'll tell you what kind of load we use, where we placed it, what vanish I'm using, etc. And any extra notes, because I really feel that the best way that you'll learn this and how I do it is from seeing me do it and hearing the insight that I have, after the fact, having done it a whole load. So let's take a look at those now, and we'll come back to the studio in a few moments' time.
Mark, I'm Chris. We'll do the formal handshake. Your name?
Polly.
Polly?
Yeah.
I'm Chris still. Hi, what's your name?
Barney.
Barney?
Yeah,
Like the
Barney.
dinosaur?
Close.
Okay, sorry.
I get that a lot, that's why
I thought your name was Barney when I first met you.
So what is it? I'm sorry.
Barney.
Barnu?
Yeah.
That's a cool name. All right, well, I'm called Chris, very boring. Observation test for all three of you, okay? Uses this. That's my keys. Can you, I'll ask you a question actually. Come here. You can all see this camera coming because he's this. How many keys do you see?
3.
3 keys.
The hardest key to get to will be the middle key, right? Because it's in the middle of the other 2 keys. Watch this. How many keys do you see now?
2.
2.
Do you know where it goes?
No.
It goes into your purse.
Stop it. Stop it.
No, like in there somewhere. That would be too easy, no? Dig deep. I don't want to touch.
Yeah, it is it.
Well.
My heat warmer.
Well, thanks for tipping out the contents of your bag. Would you come to the camera? I know that was it's really short. I need you to just say to the camera, describe what happened, what you think about it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Wasn't expecting to find a key in my bag.
What a twist.
The bag's been with me the whole time. I have no idea how that happened.
So here I was using the investment of time loading method to get this into the girl's handbag. I asked her for some money. She took out a little orange card holder. I held the key out, it was in my right hand. I put it under there, took the money out, dropped it back in her bag, told her to zip it up and handed the bill off. And yet the reactions are incredibly strong here. In her experience and everyone's memory, I went nowhere near her bag, which is true, and I didn't touch it. They just don't seem to connect the dots. So I'm doing my favourite vanish here, involving the gentleman as well, explaining how that middle key is the hardest one to get off, which I think is an important point worth mentioning when you perform this. Doing my favourite vanish in front of our faces. You see their faces change. That Barnu girl's face really scrunches up when she realises the key is gone. She comes in really close. The man's a little sceptical.
goes into your purse.
Look at the reaction to that statement. Before they even understand or know that it's really gone there, they're shocked. She reaches in, she searches for it. That's why she goes for the orange holder, because that's the thing she maybe thinks I could get to.
Dig deep.
She dumps everything out of her bag. And when the key comes out, her reaction is huge. She's genuinely shocked. Her friend is shocked. She's kind of staring at me, shocked, looking at the guy. In a moment, though, she looks at the camera and she says, I have no idea how that happened. The bag was with me the whole time. You went nowhere near my bag. And that hopefully is, for you, evidence, proof that they just don't remember that you were near their bag because you're so far ahead with hide a key. Wasn't expecting to find it. The bag was with me the whole time. I have no idea how that happened. Those are her words. And I think they speak volumes.
Good. I'm Chris. What's your name?
Callum.
Callum.
Chris and Joe.
Joe, nice to meet you. We just plucked you off the street, right? You just sat here having a beer, having a nice time.
Yeah.
Observation test, question for you. Try and put this in the light. How many keys can you see?
3 keys.
3 keys. Watch carefully as I take 3 keys.
That's crazy.
Become 2. Do you know where it goes?
Where?
To your pocket.
This one? Surely not. We're in here. What the hell? What the hell, man? What? How'd you do that? That's actually insane.
Do you want to talk to the camera?
It's not your house key, is it?
No, explain, please tell us. How was that? What happened? How does it feel?
I mean, I'm very confused. I sat in my pineapple juice, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just confused. I don't know how you did that, to be honest.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
You showed us 3 keys, and then it was 2, and then it was in my pocket.
How did it feel for that? I don't know. It's weird, right?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's quite cool.
All right. I do need that to get home.
You're
Thank
right.
you, boys. Appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good. I'm Chris. What's your name?
Callum.
Callum.
So these gentlemen were just sat outside. We were walking around Twickenham in London, and this gentleman has a huge coat on. It's like a barber-style jacket, and he has big open pockets on the outside. You can see that when he removes the key from it. And because of that, I was very easily able just to kind of toss the key in there as I got him to stand up and come and join me in the middle of the street where it looked a little bit nicer. Had this been a real professional walk-around environment, it would have been just as easy. So I'm just placing it in his open pocket and taking advantage of the fact that there was no pocket, no button, no zipper, anything like that. And yet the reaction is still extremely strong.
How'd you do that? That's actually insane.
Do you want to talk to the camera?
It's not your house key, is it?
No, explain, please tell us. How was that? What happened? How does it feel?
I mean, I'm very confused. I sat in my pineapple juice, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just confused. I don't know how you did that, to be honest.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
You showed us 3 keys, and then it was 2, and then it was in my pocket.
How did it feel for that? I don't know. It's weird, right?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's quite cool.
All right. I do need that to get home.
You're
Thank
right.
you, boys. Appreciate it so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Quickest trick in the world, but I don't know about you gents, but I lose my keys all the time. You had that?
Okay.
And have you had like bags of shopping or work stuff and you're outside the house store and you need to get the keys out but it's in your pocket and then you have to like put everything down, move it over, take the key. It's really awkward, right? It's annoying.
Yeah.
Right, watch this. Empty pocket. I'll try and like this. Got my keys. Hold your hand out, sir, like this. Your right hand, okay? In a second, you're going to grab the keys. I'm going to swing them in the air. You're going to take hold of them, okay?
Okay.
How many keys do you see?
1, 2, 3.
3 keys. Swinging these, take hold of them, grab them like this, nice and tight, but leave the keychain poking out. Loosen a little bit. Keep it nice and tight like this, but there we go, perfect. Turn like this, please. In your hands. Don't move.
Yeah.
Loosen your grip slightly, but don't let go, and turn upwards. Loosen ever so slightly, ever so slightly, ever so slightly. How many keys do you see now?
Okay. 2.
Do you know where it goes?
Where?
I included this on here because this is a way of doing hide a key with the relevant premise of losing your keys, which is relevant to everybody, but also without having to load it anywhere. You know, it just appears in your pocket. So very simply, by pulling out the lining of my jeans here and just hiding that key underneath the fabric, I'm able to apparently show my pocket empty, place it back in and the duplicate key's already in there, and then proceed to vanish the key using the hide a key system. So you see me do the get ready there, that's how fast it is. I ask him to confirm how many keys he can see, which is of course imperative to the deception itself. On this occasion, I put the keys in his hands. I got him to take hold of them. Notice how I keep them swinging before he grabs them, so he cannot perceive any difference in the amount of keys. I leave that gap so I can peek in and see if it's nested or not. Now, he was holding this very tight, so don't be afraid to tell people to loosen up if they need. I'm twisting the keychain a little bit there just to make it nest and to turn it around so it faces him, because you always want to have the hide a key gimmick facing front on towards them. And I twist it round as I bring it out fully, and then I show him the side-on nest, front and back. You can't see this, but his friend was off camera. That's who he's looking at there. He's freaking out. So here's a way to do hide a key without having to load it on anyone, and it's just as relevant and just as strong as if you were to load it in someone's pocket.
Ready? So Callum, I'm going to show you the quickest piece of magic you could possibly ever see.
Okay.
Uses 3 keys. How many do you see? Right, 1, 2, 3.
3.
That middle key is the hardest to get to. Would you agree?
Yeah.
It's in the middle and it's on the keychain.
Yeah, it's in the middle, yeah.
Watch carefully. How many keys do you see now?
2.
Do you know where it goes?
No.
To your shoulder.
How do you... This makes no sense. I can't even... my brain can't process this. Alright, fine enough, yeah, you're good at what you do. Wow.
Would you describe what just happened to the camera right here, please?
The key just appeared on my shoulder. What? How do you do that?
So this is an interesting one. I'm loading it onto this gentleman's shoulder. It's already there. I put both my hands on his shoulders, tell him not to move and tell him to pay close attention. Excuse me. His reaction is incredibly strong. The justification that I use often to place the key on someone's shoulder is just to position them so they can see it best. You know, can everyone else see? Come here, stand here, right there. Good, don't move. Can you see? Can you see? Good, you can all see. Watch this carefully, and that locks in his focus and stops him from moving around. His reaction, he says, I can't process this. How do you do that? It's a really strong reaction for a very easy load of the key, and the waffle helps it stay grip onto his shoulder.
Describe what just happened to the camera right here, please.
Appeared on my shoulder is what he says. It's very interesting to listen back to what they say and the words.
It's really simple. How many keys can you see?
3.
That middle one, logically, would be the hardest one to take off the keychain, right? 'Cause it's in the middle of the two.
Yeah.
Do this up here. Watch.
No way.
Do you know where it goes?
Where?
To your wallet.
Nah. No way. Fuck you. No, no way. No. Oh, mate. No way.
How's the placement always different as well? What?
No. No, something's up, guys. Something's up.
Do you want to just describe what you've just seen?
Magic.
Literally magic.
Magic.
Literally, the wallet's in my pocket, and this guy had keys in his hand, shook them, and now the key is in my wallet. That was in my pocket here, nowhere near him.
This is probably my favourite performance on the tutorial here, because it's closest to how it feels and looks when I perform hide a key very often. I get them to confirm how many keys. I show them my favourite vanish. Now, I'd use Noel's method here to load it inside the gentleman's wallet, inside of his pocket, and I'd just forced the card prior to this with the prediction inside the business card and the envelope. And it just shows the disconnect of when you do 2 separate tricks, they can't imagine that you'd be so far ahead. Look at his reaction now. He swears, he's shocked. The other people off camera that have already seen me do kickback and key to shoulder are just as freaking out off camera, so's his friend. And he looks at the camera and he says, he had 3 keys, he shook them, 1 vanished, and it appeared in my wallet, in my pocket. And he's absolutely mind blown. I think it's a good testament to how deceptive Noel's open load of the key is inside the wallet. And then just by telling them to, oh, you can put that away, they just do not connect the dots. And it's very, very deceptive.
Is this angle good or? Yeah, I'll come a little bit back further. Beautiful work. Yeah, we're good.
right have the keys, how many do you see? The one in the middle will be the hardest one to remove, right, Matt? Can you see the middle? It's got a little texture, can you see that? Be careful with that. How many keys do you see now? Do you know where it goes, Matt? Into your watch.
So here I'm loading it under the gentleman's watch, under the guise of asking him to put his arms out to see if the camera angle is apparently good. Normally, if the camera wasn't there, what I would do is ask him to put his hands out, load it under his watch, and then say, you know what, we'll just use your right hand, or whichever, in this case his left hand, whichever hand has his watch on, whichever wrist has his watch on. Then I would show the keys, place them on his outstretched hand, then do my favourite vanish, and then have it appear under his watch. The sound isn't great here, but just watch his reaction to say that I just put it underneath his watch. There hasn't been much time passed at all, maybe 30 seconds since loading it there. I'm about to do my favourite vanish, which is between me and them. You see his face change as he notices that there's only 2 keys. He's shocked, he's surprised, he's smiling. And then when I tell him it's underneath his watch, he sees it sticking out and reacts very strongly straight away.
So really simple, that's your question, right? How many keys do you see? 3. There's a 3 here as well, just 3, yes, no more. I'll take one off. I'm going to give that to, would you put this in your pocket?
A pocket?
Yeah, the key, keep it on the other. So how many keys do you see now? 2, right? Would you hold this hand out flat, please? You're going to put the 2 keys and the keychain on your hand. Your other hand's going to go on top, over the top like this. Please do it now. Like this. Like a flapper. They go like perfect. And let my hand out as well. Lift up slightly. Get very warm hands. Down like this is good. Okay, good. Look, the other key is in your pocket. Your name is? Stephen. The key's going to jump from Stephen's pocket. And it's going to land on the keychain in your hands between the other 2 keys.
I believe you. Come on. He's summoning you.
This is, I didn't expect this to happen.
She's making the magic.
Like this flat. Okay, good. Ready. How many keys were in your hand a second ago?
2.
Lift this hand up and keep the other hand flat. How many do you see there now? What? Check your pocket, look.
I don't know. Sorry,
2 again, it should be back in your pocket.
No.
So I've included this one because it's a good example of what happens if the worst happens. The reaction was great, but the performance in terms of what could have happened and what did happen wasn't ideal. So I'm doing kickback here. I'm taking the key off, giving it to the gentleman because she didn't have any pockets. It's also possible you can hand it out to someone else in the group for them to put in their pocket. I'm doing the great displays because of the thinness of Hyder key, the sideways on, the frontways on. Now I'm going to unnest this in her hand in a second, but what's going to happen is she's going to squeeze quite tight and make that kind of tricky, but still absolutely fine, still absolutely possible. Her hand goes on top. She's locked onto my hand, so it's being extra careful for her not to see anything. And in a moment, she starts dancing around. Now, that's not ideal, but it's fine. And I included it here so that you can see, you know, if the worst happens, you're still fine. Obviously, it being kickback, I don't want those keys to re-nest together. And because of how well Hyder key operates, there's a chance it might have. So what ends up happening after her dancing is that I have to reach over and kind of unnest those keys because they were half nested. As you can see here, I'm a little shocked, not sure what to do. I'm laughing at at Alex and Noel that were with me filming, the guys there. So she puts her hand out flat when I realise it's enough of the dancing around. And for all everyone else knows, the keys were just stacked up, so I'm just apparently helping them be more visible, but really I'm making sure that's fully unnested. Look at the reaction it gets from the group. It's strong. Then I tell him it's gone to his pocket. The reaction from the girl is great. And that's kick.
So this is a little strange. It will be fast as well, but question, how many keys are there? How many keys do you see?
3.
3. I'm going to take one of them off this keychain.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to place it somewhere safe where I can't get to it. like in a pocket or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many keys now?
2.
And this side? 2, right?
Same 2. Yeah.
2.
Yeah, he's definitely 2.
Hold your right hand out flat, please. And your other hand's going to go over the top, so I can't get to this. So put your other hand over the top, like this. Perfect. Well, there we go. The keys are still in your hand, yes?
Yeah.
I'm going to make the key, you can feel them, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to make the key vanish from your pocket. It's going to appear on the keychain, in your hands, between the other 2 keys.
Stop. I'm not ready for that.
Just lift this hand, keep this one where it is.
No.
Wait, check your pocket. Check it, grab the key. Is it back there? Because now we just have 2. Check now.
No. What? Huh?
So here's kickback again. This is a good example because it gives me some interesting things to talk about. So I show her how many keys and then I remove the normal key that goes in her pocket.
I'm going to ask you to place it somewhere safe where I can't get to it. Like in a pocket or something.
Okay.
Yeah. So how many keys now?
Again, I'm doing the displays of how many keys you can see. Either side.
2, right? 2.
Sideways on is my favourite.
Hold your right hand out flat, please. And your other hand's going to go over the top.
I like that you can hear what I'm saying here because the clarity of this performance is really what I like about kickback. Don't fill it with too many words. It's nice and calmly delivered. And it's an impossible claim that you deliver on.
It's going to appear on the keychain, in your hands, between the other 2 keys.
Just think about how impossible that is. It's going to appear on the keychain, in your hands, between the other 2 keys.
Just lift this hand, keep this one where it is.
So notice how I keep hold of the hand that's holding the keys so that she can't freak out, grab them, shake them around. And just as she gets in really close, I take them again, make that vanish. Now normally in kickback, that would be the end of it. But she doesn't find it in her pocket, so I make the most of that. I go, now there's just 2 here, now check. As if it was always meant to happen, she wouldn't find it the first time around.
I think needs extra focus and attention is the kickback routine. So I'm going to go over that here with the table as a spectator's hand. I'm going to show you exactly how that happens. So this comes out of my pocket. This is hide a key is on there with, you can probably see, with the one normal key and the duplicate key you're going to make appear. So I bring this out and I ask them how many keys they see. They say 3. 3 keys are visible. So I'm going to take one of these off. I'm going to have you place that in your pocket. And I give it to them and they place that in their pocket, surprisingly. And I say, how many keys do you see now? And they say 2. I say, correct answer. And I place this on their hands, just like this. And I say, for real, how many keys do you see? They say 2. I go, would you hold your hand out flat? And I place this on their hands, okay? So this is now on their hand. And I reach over as I go like this, and I cover, and I'll raise this up so you can see, and I grab their left arm. And as I do that, I unnest this on their hands, like this, and then I bring their arm over and say, would you put your other hand on top? So the situation now is that there are 3 keys, they are unnested, and they are on their hands and their hands are occupied, so they cannot go for their pocket. And now I say, the key is going to vanish from your pocket. It will appear on the keychain, in your hands, between the other 2 keys. And of course, at which point they say, no, it's not, that's not possible. They say, oh no, oh my God, I'm not ready for this, whatever they say. And I say, look. And sure enough, when they lift off, they get this great display on their hands. The middle key, the waffle key, has appeared back on the keychain. In their hands, you've fulfilled all of your promises. It's very strong and very impossible. And here's the fun part, right? I say, go on, check your pocket. And I pick this up off their hands and I let it swing back and forth. And as they reach in and bring this out and they say, it's here. It's here. I go, yes. And then I do the same display we did earlier. I said, yeah, there's only 2 here. Are you feeling okay? So you're in for a special treat now. We're going to go over to the Prop Dog HQ from a little while back, and you're going to see a brainstorm from me, Noel Qualter, and Alex from Prop Dog, and now from Monster Magic. There's a few ideas talked about. We had a lot of fun talking about hide a key, and I think there's some really great information here, so let's jump over there now. I hope you enjoy this.
Okay, so we are here in, we say where we are, secret location with dog in the name.
Yeah.
We're a prop dog.
Doesn't look like it though, does it, folks?
Could
be anyway.
And I'm here with Alex and Noel, and they've known about the keys, you for a lot longer than you, Alex, but you've known about it before anyone else knew. And we thought it'd be nice to have a little brainstorm session because Noel, as we all know, is a very creative man, as is Alex, and they occupy different areas and arenas of magic that I don't. I work as a memory guy and mind reader, and hide a key for me is just a fun thing that I enjoy doing as much as I can. And at this point, you guys haven't really played around with it yet. You've seen it, you've played around with it today, but this is more just about to throw around ideas, talk about possibilities. I know you've got a really great idea that I can't wait for you to tell everyone about. And I'm just excited to see what you come up with, and I've told you really not to say much.
For me, the most exciting thing about it is you've got a prop that will allow you to do visual magic, which in itself is super exciting, but it'll also do in the hands magic. So it gives you lots of different opportunities. So if you just want that dead-eyed sort of Instagram, TikTok moment, boom, you've got that. You've also got worker routines, so that people can actually go out and do, that have got those visual attributes, but also you've still got that physical moment where open up your hand, you've got what you thought you didn't have. And any magician that's performed for real people knows that magic in the hands is so incredibly powerful. So with Hide a Key, you've got those lovely moments. So to combine those two things is great. Opens up loads of possibilities for different stuff.
Cool. I'm going to encourage you and egg you on to tell everybody about your thing that you told me about recently, which I wish I'd thought of. It's really good, and it's such a you version of this trick, in my opinion. So tell them about it, please. It's really good.
Well, thank you. So it's a little bit of madness, which you might expect possibly from me if you've seen any of my previous work. But you would introduce Hide a Key, and you would have it on a key fob that's got one of the air tags, the Apple air tags, or the other one, tiles. There's lots of different things like that. One of those tag systems, but air tag is the one I've got. So for an air tag at the top, you'd say we don't need the tag for a moment, so you take that out. Then you introduce the 3 keys. Make one of those keys. First of all, you introduce the air tag. Make that vanish. I can do the force transfer there with nothing in my hands. Make that vanish, and then say the air tag flash slightly, and then and then you're going to do a timing force, for example. Say, let's find out where that key has reappeared to. You do a timing force around the room, and get the spectator to say stop whenever they want. And when they do, you say, watch this. And you go onto your phone. You say, let's find where that. Find out where the key has ended up, and it's going to start beeping over there because that's where the timing force is finished. And you say, go over there, and they're going to find the key attached to a tag over behind a bar, buried deep somewhere. So it's got that thing to impossible location moment, and with the timing force. So for that, 2 air tags, or even one that doesn't work. So I guess you can get knocked off ones from eBay. Don't sue me, Apple. But you could get one that doesn't work, or a broken one, or a second air tag. I don't think they're that much money. And then you're just going to switch it out, and then you better do that routine. But yeah, certainly introducing the air tags, I think, makes it super exciting. And with a timing force, it feels like a big trick rather than 15-second visual eye candy. Now you've got potentially a routine. So,
but I mean, this could also be, as a timing force is really cool, but it could also be just that you don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know where stuff appears. It just it just vanishes. Where's the air tag? And now you notice it's missing, and then you pull your phone out and you go, oh my god, did you drive? There's outside. Oh, the sound of the air tag. It's but then what I'm trying to say is it becomes like a search where you are apparently
there's a wormhole.
The lost key plot is pretty addictive to me because I am looking for my keys on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's an age thing. No, me too.
So going off, they're lost. Got to try and find them. How'd you find your keys?
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's one of those things people know about keys. Have you got your keys? Which reminds me of another idea. So it's like a mental version of ring, watch, and wallet.
Yeah.
So you're going to say, my memory is absolutely terrible. Which is an absolute fact. Anyone that knows me, it really is terrible. So you can say, I can never remember whether I've got things before I leave. So I always go through the drill. Have I got my phone? Have I got my keys? Have I got my money, my wallet? So I'm constantly patting pockets before I'm happy to leave. Then you ask the spectator what their memory is like. So, okay, great, we're going to test your memory. Put your hand out flat. I'm going to give you some keys, so remember everything about the keys. Hold on to those. Got my wallets, and you flash the wallet. There's a £20 note or a $20 bill in there or something like that. You pop that on the table, and you've also got phone as well. You flash the phone and you put the phone down. So, okay, great. How good's your memory? And they say, pretty good. All right, what objects have you got? You say, you've got the keys, and over there you've got the phone and the wallet. First of all, you turn over the wallet and you said, your memory's terrible. Look, you open it up. There's no money inside there. The banknote has vanished. They look at the phone, and now it's just the phone case, and there's no phone in there at all. Say, open up your hands. You've still got the keys, but you seem to have forgotten the main key that you needed, the house key. And then those objects, that mystery key, the £20 note, and the phone can reappear in another location. So not fully fledged routine, but bits and pieces.
So this reminds me of a conversation we had maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago about ISO, which is your new app with Mark Kernstein. I remember telling you about a thing. I tried it out twice, so it's not a thing I've done a lot. And the idea was you would shuffle up a deck of cards, deal out 5 random cards, maybe with a timing force or some kind of cutting packets to the table, and you would deal out 4 or 5 cards. And then you would take a picture of those cards, and you'd ask the person to remember everything about them, the pictures on their phone, and then you scoop them up, put them face down, but you know, it looks very fair, set them down, and you add a card on. And then in the photo that would be switched because of ISO, the photo would now have an extra card that was, say, like the Ace of Spades or the Queen of Hearts, a memorable one. So that they apparently, so you make them forget a card, but really it was never there. And then the proof is in the packet of cards on the table and on the photo on their phone. So you could do that with hide a key. You could show 3 keys, do that. You could take a picture of them, switch it for the picture of 2 keys. Have them hold on to it, bring them out and say, so how many keys? Great. What were the colours or patterns or finishes of them? There was a brass one, a waffle pattern one, a textured one, and a Yale style one, you know? Okay, are you sure? Yes. And then you bring it out, it's 2 keys, and they can check on their phone. And although it doesn't have a punchline like the Ring Watch Wallet style thing does, or the AirTag, it kind of has that feeling of like, I like that weirdness of,
absolutely.
Did that really happen? Was it ever there? Did I misremember that? Was I
combining?
Not sure?
I think that's really the lesson here is, you guys, you may be newer to magic, you may have decades worth of experience, but if you combine hide a key, you can do hide a key straight out of the box. You can go and do miracles with it. But if you happen to have other magic knowledge, other bits and pieces, the possibilities, flash paper, loading it in different locations, and all of these different ways, and also all the coin techniques that are out there that you can use with this as well. That's an exciting thing.
Any props that you've probably already got. So coins is obvious one, but rings. So we were talking about Jardine Ellis ring.
Yes,
you can do all of those very similar moves as well. Lippincott box if you want an appearance. A very clean vanish, a very clean appearance. So if you've got one of those around, it's ideal for that.
I think the AirTag thing as well, just to jump back to that, because we were talking about this, this would needs a bit more fleshing out, but I really like it. I want to think about this more and try it out. The idea you were saying the other day on the phone was, or a while ago on the phone, was about taking an AirTag, but finding someone who has one. So again, you have to engineer that situation, but then you can swap your AirTag for theirs secretly. Hand that off to. So this is more if you want to do some video for promo, some short video for YouTube, Instagram, whatever.
Trick.
This is a TV level magic trick now. So now they think their AirTag is here and it's down on the table or whatever. The key vanishes, and now it's 2, and you get rid of all that. There's no heat on there, and then you notice the AirTag's missing, and now they can look on their own phone because their AirTag has been loaded in the location where the duplicate key that you receive has already been placed, and it's just by handing that tag off to someone. Obviously you can't do that as a one-man operation doing a walk-around event, but I think that could make for a very strong online video. It looks like TV level magic, I think.
A small little thing. AirTags are sort of roughly coin size, so easy for that to go on a little journey, to somewhere amazing, and then you've got things in impossible location sort of beats, which is always killer for magic. To return briefly to the memory version of Ring Watch Wallet. Obviously, I imagine you're ahead of this, but Himba Wallet to flash having some money and then no money, and then to make the phone vanish. I think you would probably just show your phone as being here and come close to your pocket, and then if you have made a little cut in a rubber phone case, you can dump it out, or you can just flash the phone and it's got a cut out of the camera cluster, or I think you can actually buy little fake camera clusters that can just go in there, and you can steal that out. So you can flash what appears to be a phone and take that out. So it's,
you could even set, if you could dump it in your pocket, like you said, even if it was like this.
Yeah.
Set the phone case down, holding your hand over that camera cluster, holding the case, and then set the wallet on top of that, and now you don't need to steal anything away.
Exactly that. Yeah, really simple. Yeah, exactly that. You flash a few things, and also it's really just sort of a soft routine. They appear to be the objects you have with you, and memory based there. But I think that's certainly an interesting thing, and I like the idea, like we say, of combining Hide a Key with other things and other magic knowledge that we've all got over the years and years of performing.
It's a weird one with this, right? Because I don't. This isn't my area of expertise, and I'm not an expert coin magician at all by any stretch. I used to use coin shells when I was a kid, and I had a coin unique that I really loved when I was like 13, and I think I got them from International Magic.
And what happened to that? You've still got that today.
I actually still have it.
You're the only person. You're the only person in the world.
Out, you can't spend this by accident, so that's
you can't.
Good.
And also, if you put your keys on there, you're not going to lose them.
Yeah, you really can't. And if you stick an AirTag on, then it's impossible to lose them. And then you can do all the routines.
True.
I think we were talking earlier as well about, there's one silly idea that I think would be kind of funny for magicians, which I'll say in a sec, in fact right now. So if you put the duplicate key inside of a deck of cards, and then you bevel the edges of that deck and hold it with a kind of tight grip, you can let the cards riffle by, but use that gap. It's the old thing of, mentalists have done this for a long time, the coin in a book page. And you can then force that as a card, but set it down, and you could say, you know about key cards, right? Yeah, well, I've got this new thing with a key. Let me show you. How many keys? 3. Now 2. Key, literally, look, you cut, and the key is next to the card. I mean, I would never do that on anyone, but not a magician.
I think that's really good. I actually think that's nice.
It's absolutely fine. You can absolutely do that as a force. You can also, if you want to, if you really want to go in that direction, you could make the whole eggy thing for your magician buddies. Take the deck of cards, give them a shuffle like this, and then you can do the world's worst sort of key card sort of peek as a sort of a gag. So, okay, you've chosen a card. Okay, great, fine. Lift up, have a horrible little look at it. But then under the cover of what I presume will be a laugh of uncomfortableness at that moment, you're just going to load that key on into the middle of the deck of cards and put them down the table, or put them back into the box. They just think you're just doing a joke. You just talk about a key card system. Then you can you vanish the key, and it really does appear. I don't think it's going to devastatingly fool them, but it's funny and certainly a good
surprising, right? I think that's the only, it's a funny surprise. I'm trying to think of other stuff we were just speaking about before. I guess if we're talking about extra little things, and this is just like a brainstorm, I think you can really experiment. This is on the instructions as well, but you can really play around with what you put on the Hide a Key, on your keychain with Hide a Key. So you can, I like to have the real key behind there, right?
Yeah.
But I know we've spoken about if you have it in front and one behind,
yes,
it means you then go from 4 to 3, but then you've got 2 real and heavy things that are pressing everything together. So it aids the kind of nesting of these things even more. For sure, like you can see it in the trailer, you can put 2 on your hands, you can do paddle moves with the part of the key that is smooth and waffled to display it as both waffled.
We've been playing around with the keys today, and they're they're so well made, you really can flash them. You show keys, you don't need to overprove. I know magicians, they love overproving. We love how many shows can I do. Honestly, you hold something out and it dangles and it sounds a lot like keys, you've got 3 keys. No one's thinking, I wonder if one of them has been cut and perfectly milled down.
Only magicians are obsessed with having things, fake things that look exactly like real things. For everyone else, everything else is just real.
Yeah, it's just that's
no one's going, I don't trust that. Yeah. It's like, what's the key? What do you want?
It's also about the emphasis, right? Like the emphasis with this is not about here, examine my keys. It is how many keys. Real question.
Yeah.
3 keys.
Yeah.
Okay. How many now? Well, 2. Right. Do you know where it goes? And then wherever you want to put it, right? Load it under the watch and all that stuff, but you can just put it somewhere easy, and the attention is all on where that thing appears.
Yeah.
So like, there's no. I know we're obsessed with everything looking as good as possible and as real as possible, but there isn't heat on this after the key vanishes, I don't think.
I would also say that your keys are a personal object. In the fact that,
agree.
Yeah, and the fact that if you give someone your wallet to hold because you've put a prediction in there or whatever, they're not going to go rummaging through trying to find out what else you've got in your wallet. They just don't do that. That's a complete invasion of your privacy. So as far as you've given them your house keys, which is a personal object, they're going to trust it rather than look after it. They're not going to go, I bet he's got a dodgy key. Exactly, it's a demonstrative sort of tool. It's in your head. You're thinking, you want to see a magic?
This is
okay.
all right, okay, I've got some keys. All right, fine. I'll show you my keys. Then you're into it.
Yeah, but this is the context I'm talking about
Yeah.
as well. This is meant to be, and for me it is. And although you can do it wherever you want, this for me is the perfect. I don't want to use the words everyday carry because it's overused, right?
But don't use them then.
Okay, I won't. Yeah, I'll never say them.
No.
But the purpose really is, oh, can you show me something? And you don't have to think, and you can just bring this out, and now you're ready, and then do it. And it like you just said, the internal thing in the script in your head, the justification, the reasoning is like, I don't know, we don't really have anything. So why would they even begin to suspect a thing that you didn't know you were going to use? Apparently, let alone you were carrying around. What else did we talk about earlier?
Well, I think just so you've got you can do penetrations with it.
Yep.
So it can go through if you've got we were playing around with the deck of cards on the glass and all of that jazz earlier.
You reminded me. So
transpositions, obviously, you can go from one place to another.
This is just an idea. Like I said, all of this is just ideas. You want to watch the performances instructions for stuff that I've really done and tried out. But I think this is an interesting idea. If you have this in your pocket or somewhere you can get it easily, so for me that's using my back pocket, it can be anywhere. You can show the 3 keys here or vanish it however you want, but ask them to hold on to it so it's moving, right? They grab hold of that and they're holding it as covered on the instructions, right? You're looking down here to check the situation in their hand. And you can now bring this out, and this is all hypothetical. I'll try it out soon and report back, but if their hands face up, and I can put that underneath, I can hold that in such a way that key isn't touching their hand, right? And then I can claim that they're going to feel the key melt through their hand to the point where they'll feel it on my hand on the other side of their hand.
Yeah. Do you want to just do that on me? So make it a bit clearer. Then
So if I bring these out and ask you, how many keys do you see, Alex?
I can see 3.
You can see 3. Pay attention to that middle one.
Yep.
It's the hardest one to get to.
Okay.
Right? And it's on the keychain, but it's out. So take hold of these, like grab them like this.
Yep.
Great. And then tip your hand like this. So now I'm going to get hold of the extra key, wherever I've got that, and bring this here using the cover of your hand, in theory, right, so you can't see it. And I'm going to hold it loosely so I'm not touching your skin, but I'm going to claim that in a moment, you're going to feel that start to melt through your hand. It might get warm, it might whatever.
Yeah.
And then I just can stretch out my fingers and you're going to feel that on the reverse of your hand. Of course, it doesn't feel like it's melting through your hand, but, can you feel that?
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yes. Okay, just very slow. Don't open your hand fully just yet. In fact, very slowly. Just open your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Go ahead. How many keys do you see now?
2. Yeah.
So, interesting. I don't know how much mileage is in that, but making more, this everything on the instructions and the trailer and the performances is so fast. It's that kind of doom, doom, doom. This is a bit more like slowing it down, making them feel it.
I just want to say something else, because obviously I've been standing here while you've been doing it. The angles are very, very good. So even I could catch a glimpse of the back of the gimmick, but it didn't raise any suspicion.
And you see how
which I think is one of those things that can also open up a lot of performance. If you're worried about being surrounded wherever you might be, you don't have to worry necessarily, because it still looks like 3 keys.
And this is on the instructions, but this is an anchor point, like I'm using this, whether you've got this quick release or a bigger hoop or a small, really easy, common one, you're using this as a way to rotate that in the hand if you need to. So I saw that then it was face up, so I'm using that, I'm saying how many keys, and then I'm spinning that over to give you the proper display, because obviously we want that side face up. So
yeah.
But I even think when it's on the table, because of the key ring and this having weight here, I know you can't see the table now, but it's fine. It has that kind of, not 45 degree, well, almost 45 degree angle to it, so you feel like you can see underneath. Yeah. So it really sells that illusion, I guess. I guess now we're not brainstorming, we're saying how good this is, but...
Here's one more. Sorry, no,
Noel's trying to really give ideas, and I'm just stroking my own ego.
One more little quick idea, and full disclosure, I've never done this, but I've no doubt that it would work as a routine. Piece of modelling clay plasticine, and you put it on the table. You put the key on the table. You put the plasticine on top, and you say, so effect-wise, you put the plasticine on top, and you say, you know what? First of all, actually, lift up the plasticine, which they will lift up. So take the key and move that over to the side for a moment, and squeeze up that thing of plasticine. Okay, great, you've got that. Then you say, I'll take the key. You make the key vanish. Open up the ball of plasticine, and inside is the key. And the method, obviously, is that the plasticine, if you put a small, relatively flat bit of plasticine on top of the shell, it's going to lift that off, If they go to lift up the plastic, they'll lift that straight up. The key will be left, the internal key will be left on the table. They squeeze that, but don't turn it over, which is absolutely fine. And if a big enough thing of plastic, they won't feel the key inside of there. Then you make the key vanish via your favourite method, and then that key reappears inside the plastic. It's a weird trick, but I think you could certainly get, presentationally, you could get into, how criminals might try and get a mould of a key or something like that, steal a key and pushing it into some clay. Maybe there's some sort of presentation in there for you. But certainly, think of different ways to steal that shell off is an interesting sort of route to go in.
I think as well, this must have been talked about in Magic before, and I will look into this before everyone can watch these instructions. A hoodie is quite a fun place to ditch something without people feeling it.
Yeah,
so
point,
I've done that before. I've used hoodies on chairs with the hood dangling down behind my legs. So instead of like putting a deck or something in the back of my knee, I can just like drop it into a makeshift savant, which is on my chair. But you can do the reverse of that. So if someone's got a hoodie on, like I've just literally thought now, it's really no effort to just, as you turn and face that way, to kind of almost throw that in.
Yeah.
And then that's another weird load. I mean,
it reminds me of the kids dropping donuts in the back of my hood when I was a kid, and then pigeons coming down and trying to rip my face off. But so I've got quite bad memories about things being thrown in the back of my hood. But magically, very good. But the therapy that I'll need now is quite strong.
Okay. Is there anything else? I really think the AirTag thing is amazing. I really want.
The AirTag thing is absolutely killer, and it really does feel like it's got that TV moments, but you can do a simplified version, or you can do the more advanced version that we're talking about.
Even just the time, like adding a timing force onto this, where you've already got the key, right? Because you're getting the extra key to load anyway. If you just put that on a bookshelf behind the bar, like we said, give it to the bar lady. Said when someone comes over and asks for something, just give them this thing. And now you're timing force for that, and now it feels like they've chosen where it goes. Even that very simple little extra.
And again, it's nothing. It's a timing force, a little bit of magician's skill, plus the props that you've just bought. Means you can produce a miracle.
I think with a timing force, magicians, we all get too inside our heads with, I'm going to try and time it so that when they say it, I'm going to be in the right place. But I just think it's more a case of just knowing you're always going to stop in the place you need to, and you just keep going. You know. And as they start to go,
well, if ever I'm doing a timing force, I'll find a spot that feels like that is the end of it, and I'm just going to bounce back as if my arm cannot move any further. I'm just within the bouncing zone, and they don't know what's going on. So. Absolutely add a timing force with this. I think it will make it a killer extra little touch for a small amount of effort.
Yeah. Well, that's very exciting, and thank you for both doing it. I don't know what else to say.
I'm just thinking. No, you've got yeah. I'm just thinking of those Lippincott box ideas and things like the Quiver wallet and
Quiver wallet's a really interesting one.
Anything like that. Anything that you can cleanly show. Yeah, because that vanish is so incredibly clean. If you can show something completely empty, vanish it and open it up, you've got a moveless, effortless, amazing transposition. This is the kind of things that would require years and years of sleight of hand skill. And if you have this, you're already almost all the way there. If you add in other magic skills that you may have, or magic props that you might have, that you can produce further miracles. But like I said, hide a key on its own is amazing. Add other stuff. Dream. Think of a fun routine. So that's. I reckon.
The other thing that you mentioned when we did the interview that hide a key are actually those boxes that you stash.
Oh, they really are. So Greg Wilson has an interesting thing with that's also going to be on here. So that'll be after this as kind of a bonus. It's done via Zoom because he's in California and we're in the UK. He has a great thing with a rock because hide a key is a thing that usually is a plastic box. Right. And there's some that are called hide a key. I think they're known in America as hide a key, but I don't know which, whose brand is what. And it's a magnetic drawer box, and you'll put a key in it, and you'll snap it under, somewhere.
Oh, I know what you mean, yeah.
But you can also get the ones that look like rocks. Greg has a cool thing with that. You'll see that on the instructions. But, also, what would be great with this, and silly almost, if it worked, I don't know if it would. When I was younger, when I was like maybe 9 or 10, there was a little spar shop nearby, and he used to sell those little black plastic drawer boxes.
Right.
And it was just called like the Matchbox size, and it was like a drawer box. We'll try it in a second, see if it works. But I bet you could print off a sticker that said hide a key and put. Maybe you wouldn't want to, right? But and then you've got it showing it empty, giving it to someone, and then they can maybe hear that rattle as well. Stuff like that. It seems almost too easy and too obvious, but to pair something where you can show it not be there and then be there.
What I like about the AirTag and what I think about the hide a key box is it does all make sense with the idea of keys.
Yeah, lost keys. Memory, people have keys even are a massive inconvenience if you lose them. They're important. they also seem like the most innocent object as well. So they've got loads of things going for them, and there's some key magic. There's not tons of key magic out there, and this is a huge addition to the key magic sort of world, and also for that seemingly impromptu and, dare I say it, everyday carry magic.
I know that there'll be so many magicians out there that are really great with coins, that are really familiar with coin shells, locking or otherwise, and you'll have ideas of this that I or either of us won't have thought of.
I think the ring magic route, because that has got a hole in it, you can do. I'm sure there's a lot of ring stuff you can do with threading and penetration on and off.
Ring stuff, because the Jardine Ellis is the closest sort of magic product that's similar to this, which is there's lots of things that'll be out there, I'm sure. Great. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks, folks. Happy magic.
Bonus special super surprise. At the end of this video, you will find a recorded Zoom session with Greg Wilson, the master himself, where we talk about hide a key and some ideas that he has for it. So I'd recommend that you go and take a look at that right now. Credits are the most important thing in magic, besides really sharing magic with real people. And it's no secret that this would not have existed without the help of friends of mine and without things that have come before it. So I want to take some time right now to thank Prop Dog for their help and support with this early on, for letting me film the brainstorm there, for Noel for all the phone calls we've had, Noel Coulter, thank you so much, for being a great friend as well, for Alex at Monster Magic and Prop Dog for being so supportive of this. For everyone who's heard about this and known about this from the inception of it through to the delivery of it, I'm genuinely so thankful. Thankful for you, for buying this, for investing in it, and I love the idea and the thought that you're out there really doing. Now, in terms of credits, they're very important, and it's important we get them right. The shell coin, as we all know it, from my research, was brought to the magic world and community by Hofzinser, and that was all the way back in 1847, from what I've discovered. Further than that, in regards to something that locks, something that you might call a Scotch and soda here in the UK, we might call a coin unique. That was a creation by Richard Himber, and that came around in 1962, so that's a little more recent. Back in 2007 though, and I didn't know about this when I began the Hide a Key project, there was something from Joe Pauper and R. Paul Wilson, and it was called Lost Keys. And it was essentially a kind of amalgamation of keys across mixed with a coin shell that was a double shell. It looked very different, it functioned very differently, and it was for a different, purpose. But when I found out about that, obviously the first thing I did was to get in touch with Paul Wilson, to ask for his full blessing, and to see if he'd be happy enough to support this project, not just in giving his blessing, but also in giving a comment and a quote for it. So Paul Wilson, being a brilliant, very clever, kind and supportive person, human, and someone that I have had great respect for since getting into magic, got back to me and said he fully supported it. He wanted to see the quality of Hide a Key in person. He saw it not long after that, and then gave me his full blessing and full permission to, of course, continue with the Hide a Key project, which is important because he is the only person that we have in the magic world that's made a key shell before. So he gave me his full blessing and full permission, but then he gave a fantastic... So thank you, Paul Wilson, and thank you for your initial exploration of a key shell back in 2007. I want to thank Greg Wilson. I want to thank Greg Wilson for being part of this project. When I reached out to Greg Wilson, I had no expectation at all that he would even reply to my email. He's not someone that prior to this I've had any real communication with, apart from the odd email from time to time. So Greg Wilson, thank you so much for contributing your brilliant ideas to Hide a Key. Thank you for the early support, the encouragement. It's great to have you on this project, and I feel like now, we're giving people so much more to play around with. So Greg, thank you so much. A trick that's little known about that has to have a credit, it's from an Englishman who I actually shared. So the first thing I published for the Magic World was with Kenton Nepper, and then shortly after that, Magic Scene asked if they could publish my first proper book. And that was a book called Roulette, and that was published by Magic Scene magazine. And at the time, it was Graham Hay, Mark Leveridge, and Phil Shaw. And Mark Leveridge, I'm sure you'll know that name, he's part of lots of great magic. But Mark Leveridge had a trick in 1983 called Keyvolution. And what that was a key that was uncut, and it had a shell over the uncut part of the key. So it was a key that was cut, but it was looked with the shell like it wasn't cut. So you would show an uncut key, place it in the spectator's hands, they would imagine that it would cut itself in their hands, they would open it up and now the key was cut. That was 1983. So huge credit to Paul Wilson, as I said, our Paul Wilson, Joe Pauper, for 2007, but then prior to that in a different way, so not to make a key vanish or travel across, but instead to make a key cut itself in the spectator's hands. Mark Leveridge from 1983 with Keyvolution gets a full credit here as well, so thank you, Mark. So even though the idea of loading something onto someone's shoulder is found in Bobo, and even though people like Greg Wilson and Apollo Robbins and many others have had lots of work with placing things on people's shoulders and under their watches, when doing my research for the credits of this project of Hide a Key, I came across that it was Norman Beck who was the first person in print within a Genie magazine to load a folded card under someone's watch. And he's the person that we should all give credit to for that idea of openly loading something like a card under a spectator's watch before they then find it there after the fact, after something else has happened. So the Norman Beck effect is actually described by Jamie Ian Swiss in a Genie magazine, volume 58, number 7 from May 1995. That's when I was 5 years old. It's on page 513 inside the Genie magazine. So I want to thank all of those people mentioned and also not mentioned. I've done extensive research in trying to find out who has done anything like this with keys before, and besides Paul Wilson and Mark Leveridge, there is no one. Mark's was a very different approach to doing this, and Paul Wilson's, though I didn't know about until very far along with Hide a Key, I sought out his permission, and had he said no, I would have not followed through with the project. We have covered so much ground here. We've talked about the vanishes you can do. You've seen live performances again and again. We've talked about how to load it on people's person. We've talked about the full credits of this. I've shown you all of the different samples and stages of this. I've told you about how this is best that it doesn't lock, but how we did explore it locking with magnets and without magnets. And all of this has gone on so long that the police are now here. We've covered so much ground, and yet I feel like Hide a Key is just beginning to scratch the surface. I know there are magicians out there that are fantastic with shells, that are going to come up with new vanishes, new routines, new ideas with Hide a Key, and that is an exciting thought to leave you with. I want to thank you so much for buying this, for watching this, for picking this up. I've tried my best to keep these instructions detailed but concise. There's a lot of bonus content, and I really, really hope that Hide a Key brings you all of the enjoyment you hoped it would when you purchased it. Every now and again, give it a clean. Don't worry if it gets a little tarnished, because real keys do over time. But go out there, really perform with it, and let me know how you get on, because I want to hear that you're out there doing it. For real, I feel like Hide a Key is a first in magic, and I feel like it's one thing that you can really always carry with you and never need to think about even having on your person. And for that reason, combined with all the information we've shared here on this project here today, I think you are equipped to perform TV level magic at a moment's notice for a very, very reasonable investment of price, time and money. So I'll say one more time, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I've got some exciting things coming up, and genuinely I'm very grateful that you're even watching this. So I'll see you around. Enjoy Hide a Key, and try not to go deaf from this sound.